I have been using the HP Pavilion Power 15T as my primary computer for a few months now, and I've had a good opportunity to find its strengths and weaknesses. Is it up to the task of handling your daily needs? Let's find out. So, cutting right to the chase, in my eyes, the HP Pavilion Power 15T is a good fit for people either looking for an entry-level gaming laptop that doesn't break the bank, or for people looking for a kind of sleeper laptop. It doesn't have any bright and obnoxious lights, only a subtle white keyboard backlight, and looks rather modest with its plastic design. The hinge is the one thing that sets it apart from other laptops, as it's supposed to elevate the keyboard to an angle when you lift the lid. However, this is much more of a gimmick than it is helpful, because it doesn't lift the keyboard to such an angle that it's a help anyways. So, as far as the exterior goes, I would say that it meets its target audience well, with a reasonable budget and no obnoxious RGB lighting. Some may say it looks cheap for the price, but I disagree. They had to cut some corners in order to fit some pretty awesome hardware inside. Now, about the hardware. The model I own has a Core i5-7300HQ, 8GB of RAM, and a 1TB hard drive, as well as a GTX 1050 from NVIDIA to power the graphics. All this comes at a reasonable MSRP price of $879, but at the time of making this video, and from what I've seen frequently in the past, the price can be much lower on sales, at as low as $630. And for a system with these specs, that's a steal. There are several upgrades available for the CPU, RAM, and hard drive from HP, but if you're looking to do a RAM or hard drive upgrade, you can do it yourself. There is one empty RAM slot if you open up the back, and there is also a M.2 NVMe SSD slot as well. I filled the M.2 slot with a Western Digital Black NVMe SSD, which improved read and write speeds immensely. So, all that hardware is great, but how does it perform? Does it throttle? Well, to answer that question, I fired up Prime 95 to stress the CPU, and Heaven Benchmark to stress the GPU. And yes, I do realize that this is a much heavier task to combine these two than most computers are going to do on a daily basis, but I did want to test the worst case scenario. With this test, the GPU stayed around its max frequency for the full hour it ran for, however the CPU throttled heavily after the first 5 seconds. Here's some FPS performance tests in-game, as well as some more information on the throttling of the CPU and GPU. The I/O included on this laptop's left side includes a Kensington lock, 2 USB 3 ports, and a combo audio jack. When you move to the right side, you will see a power port, an Ethernet jack that I was very happy to see, an HDMI port, another USB 3 port, a USB Type-C port that does not include Thunderbolt, and lastly, another nice addition, a card reader. All in all, a good port selection that could really have only been improved with a few more video outputs. Next, we move to the screen and input devices. The screen is a 1080p matte, non-touch display, which is fairly class average. The off-axis viewing angles are quite good, with the only thing not being quite as good being the brightness. The screen being matte does help somewhat with this, but using the laptop in bright environments, I did often find myself wanting more brightness from the display. I have no way of testing color accuracy, so therefore will not be speaking about that. Moving on, the industry-leading Apple trackpad does put this one to shame, but compared to my old laptop, the Lenovo Y50, it is most definitely a better trackpad. It has decent palm rejection and tracks fairly accurately. My biggest complaints with it is that it feels kind of cheap when you move around the mouse, and it is also very hard to click near the top, while at the bottom it is easily clicked. The Island-style chiclet keyboard is nice to type on, with plenty of travel and a good feel. However, I am upset that for a performance laptop, HP made the up and down arrows half height. This results me in missing the arrow keys half the time I try to hit them. I wish I could say that I like the keyboard with this great feel and nice white backlight, but those arrow keys just really get on my nerves. To summarize, I believe the 15T meets its target audience well. does have a few flaws such as the arrow keys and the weird hinge gimmick, but the pure price to specs is very good. With other options on the market though, such as the Dell Inspiron 5000 Gaming with a GTX 1050 4GB and i7 CPU, there is competition, but the sale prices on the Pavilion Power 15T are simply unbeatable by the rest, even without the i7 CPU. Thanks for sticking around to the end of this video. If you have any further questions about the laptop, please leave them in the comments below and I will do my best to answer them. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to my channel to join the Tech4 Today community. I hope to see you in the next one.